We are going to talk, and I'm sorry about my voice. I'm going to try not to clear my throat or yell at you guys at the same time. Um, Amy Foster, I am the Division Director at the Oklahoma City Field Office. Um, I am going to talk about capital fund planning and EPIC. I know with the ERLOGs, I know you guys have talked about funds and, oh,
You're fine. Did you
okay, it'll be okay there. Okay. With different funds and things that you can spend your money on, how to track it, when you can draw things down, that kind of stuff. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll go through some screens on EPIC. I will tell you some of these screens, I can see it from my side. I can't promise you what I'm seeing is exactly what you're seeing. And so if it's not, we can always talk through it, figure out what it looks like from your perspective, and then how we can address it from our training. Okay. So first, the capital fund program. We're going to do just some basic overview, and then we'll jump wherever you guys want to go. But as you know, the capital fund program, it's money made available to you as a housing authority for preserving, monitoring, protecting, modernizing all of your units. It's for deferred maintenance, if you've had to put anything off, for your deferred maintenance, your replacement of obsolete HVAC, maybe ovens, refrigerators, different things like that. Code compliance, demolition. That one is a different category. We'll have to talk about demolition a different time. Capital expenditures to improve safety and security. So, I don't know, parking, lights in the parking lot, things like that. If you need a camera system, that kind of stuff. Now, to talk about the assessment phase, it's really easy, I think, sometimes to get on, I hate white writing, I'm sorry, a little bit easy sometimes to get on autopilot, think this is how things are going, this is how I'm spending my money, things look good, let's just keep going. But especially with Inspire, how it's come about and how it has 50 million deficiencies sometimes that are a pain in the rear to get cleared up, especially when a lot of them might be easy to fix, but you may have 40 smoke detectors that you now have to go in and fix and send photos and all of that kind of stuff. So to take a step back and really look at the housing authority, look at the spending that you need to do to really put into it. So what are you looking for? Go look through your physical inspection again, your inventory punch list, things that happened in your inspection that maybe you can address on a bigger scale. We may need to replace X number of smoke detectors. Okay, so maybe we make that a big project and we do updated smoke detectors in all units, in all the bedrooms, getting everything up to code. You guys know that. And then looking at some of your big deficiencies, whether it's roofs, AC units, anything aged. I know some housing authorities sit here and go, I have all of this money and nothing to spend it on. My housing authority is perfect. I think I know one person who said that. Everybody else is like, more money. So there's always things that I'm sure you can find to spend money on. So just some examples. Interior spaces, okay, maybe you need to do some stuff in the office or make some remodels. You're remodeling a building, maybe there's a wall you need to take down. That kind of stuff. You can also do some of your development costs with that as far as your architectural and engineering fees, which, side note, if you're doing a big project, A&E is by far the best way to go. You don't have to coordinate a whole bunch of people. Your architect designs it, takes care of it, you guys work on the money. Environmental reviews, your structures. Do you need to fix a parking lot? Do you need to build some parking cover? Laundry. Do you have a community laundry that could use some new machines versus having their own individuals? Ranges, refrigerators, just like we talked about. Signage, if you need to replace signs for the housing authority itself. If you need some fencing, you can do that. Landscaping, if you want to make things pretty and put bushes up and trees and all of that, you can use this. Roofs, window, lighting, furniture, so on and so forth. Lots of stuff. And I want to say this is your BLI 1480, that kind of stuff. So then we're going to jump over to like admin costs and management. So you're looking at your BLI 1410 and 1408. Administrative costs are simply things related to capital fund, the designing of capital funds. So you work on capital funds for 12 hours this week, trying to get things situated, organized, presented, whatever it is. And so technically, if you need to, that 12 hours of your salary this week, you can take it out of your admin costs because it's directly associated with planning capital fund work. And then management improvements, you guys know, all of your staff training, accounting systems, all of that kind of stuff. There's some ineligible activities that I know I don't need to read to you, but obviously anything that's not related to public housing, that's not good. Not in the 5-year action plan. That's not to say that we can't change it, that we can't change the 5-year action plan and get things taken care of that way. But if it's not in the 5-year action plan, then don't do it until we can make some adjustments. Not modest design, no marble countertops. I'm just throwing that out there. Try to stay away from that. No, obviously pools, saunas, baths, whirlpool baths, or hot tubs. Had a housing authority build a water splash pad, which is cool, super cool. Unfortunately, they did it in the middle of town, and it's not at their housing authority, so don't do that. That was bad. Not cool. But I mean, it's not to say you couldn't have one, or buy some nice swing sets or different jungle gyms, things like that. But still try and be modest. Security services. Now I say that you could obviously buy security equipment, lighting, cameras, different things like that, but you can't use your money to pay for security guards. Someone to stand guard right there. That's not to say, side note, that you can't have a police officer unit and then do, your trade out for, some monitoring, watching out for things at the housing authority versus adjusting their rent accordingly. What's up, girl? Okay, this is probably the most important thing I want to talk about today, and please remember. But obligation end dates are huge, huge, and we have all but begged people to spend money. But starting with what is an obligation? It is a binding agreement executed by two parties. or all parties, I should say, you, the contractor, whomever, for work that is going to result in spending your capital funds. And the date of this agreement, the date of this contract, is considered your obligation date. And so you would go into EPIC, go into locks and update your obligation, all of that kind of stuff. A purchase order can constitute an obligation, and the obligation should obviously reflect work that you have in your 5-year plan. So again, keep your 5-year plan and your money lined up. I just wanted to show this. Well, let me get back to timing. Okay, so your obligation start date begins when the money goes into locks. So the money went into locks May 1st, 2025. So you have 2 years from May 1st. So let's say May 1st, 2027. That's your obligation end date. You have 2 years. Within that, 90% of capital funds have to be obligated within those first 2 years. And so, stepping back for a minute, let's say you haven't done your 2024 EPIC and converted everything into locks. So you don't have your 2024 money. Your obligation end date is in 26, so maybe a year out from now. And I know that sounds like a long time, but when you've got a couple $100,000 maybe, and you've got to have contracts, you have to have something to have this money ready to go. A year's really not that long. If you're looking at big projects, something like that. And even my housing authority, who's perfect and doesn't need anything, you still have to spend it, so pick something. And so that is so important. And I wanted to put this on here to kind of show you how it's affected. And so you'll see your grant years. I'm going to skip, is it 19 that was squirrely because of COVID? Okay.
Yeah, because we got it in 20, right?
It was some weird, no, they extended it like 2 years.
Yeah.
Or something. It was squirrely. Okay. We're going to pretend like that wasn't squirrely. But you will see for the grant year and the obligation end date, you'll see the number of housing authorities affected. And then scooch over to the next column with the expenditure end date. The money's just going away. Don't let your money, don't not spend your money. I want you to spend your money. And so you'll just see real quick in 2019, $64,000 were forfeited. In 21, $2.5 million was forfeited. That makes me sad.
Is that across the nation?
It's
in this region?
It's, I think, in my field office.
In your field office?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, but I wanted to show you the effect that an obligation end date has. So it's written down in red, just to give you an example. So a housing authority had an obligation end date of 5/11 of 24. So that was their 2-year hard stop. You had to be 90% by 5/11 of 24. Okay, got it. Well, now we're looking at it, and the housing authority has obligated 90% as of 3/11. Super. The problem is once you hit that hard date of 90%, you're going to lose 1/12 of a future grant every single month that it's not obligated. And so in this situation, their obligation end date was 5/11 of 24. They finally got it obligated on 3/11 of 25. That's 10 months of a future grant that a housing authority is not going to get. And this particular housing authority, that's going to be over $300,000.
Whoa.
Because they didn't obligate their money. That's too bad. It's really too bad. So it's important. The next one coming up, what is? next one coming up is spending all of your 22 money, and then 24 will be coming up.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
How come they didn't ask for an extension?
no idea.
Because we had one that was coming out.
Of course.
Like 8 months before. And
Yes.
we asked for an extension. and we got
Exactly,
it.
exactly. I don't know.
Huh.
But
I don't like giving money back.
heck no, not with the environment we're
I don't know
in.
why I'm doing it.
Take all my money? No way. That's sad.
Yeah,
It hurts my heart. I can't tell you, I've seen several where they've just lost entire grants.
Wow.
I've seen housing authorities that, I don't know where the portfolio manager has been, but, and it's not us.
Right.
So they haven't done, this particular housing authority hadn't done any EPIC from 21, 2, 3, 4. So, and then as you know, obligation end dates, but then your expenditure end dates. They're just throwing out hundreds of thousands of dollars simply because they can't get in or won't get in and do their EPIC.
Do they not need that money or something?
Don't give it to me because we're giving it out.
That's crazy.
Okay, so when does the obligation begin? Obviously, for your capital funds, for your 1480s, it occurs when you have your contract executed. 1406 is your operations, and it becomes effective when the money is drawn down. So, and I have a slide on that we'll talk about in just a little bit. Your management improvements, when you signed a contract for eligible items, your administration, your budget, approval, annual statement, so on and so forth. And this is just a summary, again, of what kinds of grants have to be obligated within 1 year, 2 years. 90% are normal formula grants, disasters, lead-based paint, hazards. The emergency grants in safety and security, they're 90% within 1 year. And this replacement housing factor, I'm not going to lie, I don't know what that is, but it's a 2-year. And I wanted to reiterate one more time that it is so important to get this stuff obligated because you're losing money.
So you don't necessarily have to spend it, just get it off.
Yes, yes. Okay, just a quick, how does this work? How does this go together? First in EPIC, you know your 5-year plan and then your document package. Those two have to be done before you can file your annual statement. We'll get to that. Any revisions that you have to make, your final budget, P&E, and a closeout. That's just kind of its life cycle. Now, in locks, the obligation will show once we get our money, once we know how much is coming in for the year, even though it's May and our year ends in September. I digress. The obligation is going to come in. It's going to load in line 0100. We'll talk about that. The budget spreads once you get your annual statement and it's accepted. Then you go through your obligations, your drawdown, and your closeout. Now, I don't really know how detailed, if you just want to simply go page by page, questions, however you guys want to do this, I will click and talk, and if there's something that you want me to talk about, or if you guys all say, Amy, we know all of that, don't teach us that. So no problem. We'll move on. Okay, so this is our front page. Obviously, you log in. You'll see down at the bottom left, if you are a new user, those are the links you need to use. And so this is the first page. I have to assume it looks like yours. That's what we're going to assume. And so I have on your activity planning functions, you have your 5-year plan, 5-year action plan. Don't let me confuse that with Rachel's conversation. 5-year action plan.
That was confusing when you
Yes.
first started talking about that.
Yes.
Just recently, it's like, but, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was confusing.
I-
We're fairly new people.
Yes.
That haven't really heard a lot about the 5-year plan.
Yes.
You know,
I started in May. I started public housing May of 2020, and that was the first year we did these 5-year plans. I'm like, I don't know what y'all are talking about. You got a 5-year plan, a 5-year action plan?
yeah.
What just
Won't they
happened?
change, won't they make them a little bit different, the name a little different or
Right?
something?
So on your last slide, or a couple slides ago, where it starts the, EPIC, 5-year plan, document package, all
Uh-huh.
of those things, says 5YAP.
5-year action plan.
That
And that
was talking
says-
about this, not,
This one is talking about Epic.
sorry, I,
No, please ask questions,
It's
please.
confusing. They should name them something a little different.
Right. And Epic, yeah, and Epic is your 5-year action plan. You're taking action. How about
because
that?
I see that as 5-year annual plan, which is
Oh, we're
what
talking,
Rachel was talking about.
yeah, we're taking action, so this is our 5-year action plan.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry, I'm trying.
There you go. It's I mean, seriously. There's a bazillion words in the vocabulary, yet we use
And
5.
then they have the, all the little letters. and you're like,
Right.
"Oh."
Exactly, exactly.
I gotta write it in crayon, sorry.
We can draw pictures, we can do whatever you want.
Put that in.
Change it next year.
Because
Yeah.
then we're going to talk about our annual statement, which is different than like an annual plan. So,
On that, we're talking about annual statement in EPIC.
that's correct.
Okay.
We're talking about money. How about that? We're going to talk about money. What Rachel talked about is kind of the theory of your housing authority, for a better way to say it.
So one's an agency plan and one's the capital fund plan.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Okay, I have these arrows up here because technically you can do the 5-year action plan and or the document package first. Doesn't matter which one you do first, the annual plan or the documents, don't care.
Okay.
The problem is you have to have both of those before you can do the annual statement budget. They both have to be in there because you aren't going to have the option to do your annual statement until both of those have been approved.
And I think if they would just move that annual statement, switch it with the document, because most people go in and,
So, yeah, if they would move them, so, like you
Yeah,
said.
'cause most
you do
people
this
just go
first,
in,
And then this, and
and
then
then they
this.
think they can't do it. Why can't I get to my annual statement? I did my 5-year plan, you know what I'm saying?
Crazy talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, maybe seeing the arrows there kind of helped, and maybe they'll get those two done.
The one thing I will say is they added the document package way down the road. Because you guys remember, I mean, it's only been a couple of years since you
Yeah.
had to start the document package, and I guess they just put that in line.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I get it, but especially for new people.
For
I mean,
new
it was hard
people.
enough, it was hard
Yeah.
enough for me. I've been here forever.
Yeah,
Well-
new people, if it followed the steps.
Yes. Yeah, no. Okay, and so this is creating a new 5-year action plan. And my housing authority that I made this action plan isn't in here. Okay, great. Because I was like, oh my God, don't let me mess up their stuff. But, okay, so what you see, let me sit down, I guess. You have the 24 through 28 plan. And now we want to create the next one, or 25 through 29. It's time for that. So what you will see is you have a plus, a paper and a pencil, and the double sheets. Use the double sheets, almost a little counterintuitive because you want to use the plus, but don't. Use the 2 sheets, and it will create a new plan for you, populated with everything from the year before. If you use the plus That is a blank slate. You're putting everything in there. Yes, yes, ma'am. So use those two little pieces of paper. And this is what is going to come up. First, you will see you need to decide between a fixed and a rolling plan. A fixed plan is good for 5 years. A rolling plan, how do I explain this?
It, you can change it.
Yes.
You can take things from
Yeah.
one year and put it in
Yes,
another.
yes. Fixed,
Fungibility.
yeah,
Something
fixed
you
is
call it.
You can,
fixed.
you can change the years without having to get it reapproved,
Yep, yep.
just the years.
Well, and even in a fixed plan, when you have your 5 years and it is what it is, you still have to do an annual statement.
Yeah.
So a fixed, if I had to give you some advice, do a rolling plan. It's just easier. Okay, and so you see that we're going to do our plan for 2025. Great. All of this is going to populate from the year before. We all know this is a guess. Our 25 money will not be a guess in a few weeks. But then everything else, most often we just use it or input it as the exact same number. Because
And
we,
lots of times, especially if nothing really has changed in what you're gonna do,
exactly.
yeah.
And frankly, it's irrelevant simply in the fact that we're going to do a new plan next year. And you'll know your actual dollar amount for next year. But what you'll see is in our plan that we're using to design this, our 24 through 28, it brought in all of that. We're doing our 25 to 29. So now we've got 29 down here with nothing. We've got to put some money in there. So we're just going to put 803,050. And then there is I can't see it on mine. There is a complete or submit button, and you're ready to go. Now it's going to take you back here. You're like, why did it come back here? But now you see that it's created, and it's in a draft status. So now it's ready to go. So we're going to use that pencil and paper to edit. If you get in there and you're like, crap, I didn't want to do this right now, just exit out if you don't want it. And so these are the activities that came in from the 2024 5-year action plan that we used to copy forward. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. You will see under the piggy bank, the very bottom 2029 dollar amount, we put in there what we think it's going to be. Then it's 0 because we haven't expended anything. And so our balance is 803,050. Any of these over here that you want to get rid of, you can just delete it so you aren't looking at it. This is our starting point. It's telling us, this is what I thought I was going to do last year. Let's see if I want to do it this year. We're going to do a couple things first in this presentation. We're going to audit or adjust what's in here and get it situated, and then we'll start putting new stuff in. Okay, there's a couple of different ways if you need to make edits. This particular way, when you choose this way, you can change the year that you want associated to this or the dollar amount. Those are the two things you can do with the checkbox. Always save your changes. You'll be so mad if you don't. You'll be so mad. There's another way to do it where instead of using the checkbox, you can use the hyperlink under the activity, or you can use the paper and pencil, get you to the exact same place. This is what it looks like when you pull up that particular activity. You will see that it is a 1480 BOI that you have to have checked. And then this is information about it. And if you need to change it, if you need to say, instead of replace, damage, old, blah, 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 maybe that now needs to happen in units 407 and 409. You can update it that way and just have some more detailed information. Or maybe this last year was for unit 409, now we are going to do some 407 stuff. However, whatever description you want to put in there is fine. It helps if it has some information. Okay. Don't, hold on. It's a hot mess. I looked at it this morning, I'm like, what was I thinking yesterday? This makes no sense. Okay, so we edited. We are going to edit, excuse me. Let me get me right. Okay, that's two. Okay, we're going to use, to make some edits, we need to copy, because I need to do this again in 29, because I'm doing it a little bit here and there, but I know I'm still going to need to do it in 29. So I am going to, instead of typing it all out again, I'm going to copy forward a line. I am going to copy this line item. And so I hit that. I'm like, okay, this is the one I want to do. It comes through, and now you see this copy of the sewer lines inside for $50,000. What you also see is, holy crap, I'm $50,000 negative in 25. What is happening? I'll show you what's happening. I gotta stand up. What's happening here is, again, you can change it with the checkbox, you can change it with the hyperlink, you can change it with the edit. What's happening is you just need to take it from 2025 and put it in your 29 year. So now you see the red's gone, and your balance on 29 is starting to go down because we are putting our activities in there that we want to do for that year. So 29, you can change it right in here, get you to 29. Those two things, remember, get you to the same place, which, whatever. But right there is where you change it. It's kind of duplicative. Okay, so we've made our changes. Now we want to create new work activity. Let's think about some stuff that we want to do. You can put it for whatever year, probably 25, since that's why we're here. So, easiest thing, we're going to create a work activity. This is what it comes up. It's blank. We're getting ready to put some stuff in it. So, we're going to do some siding, because that's what I said as I was screwing up one of my housing authority's plans. We're going to do siding on all walls. It's going to cost $47,000, but I need to do it in 29. I know, maybe this is, again, another project that, I'm going to do it over a couple of years. So I'm going to put this one in 29. Dwelling unit exterior siding. Here we are. Can't see that far. Siding, $47,000. Awesome. save, save, save. And then you'll see how your piggy bank continues to go down. Okay, we've gotten all of our stuff figured out. We're like, oh my God, finally. My piggy bank balances, I'm ready to go. Submit the plan. There you go. Submit the plan.
And if it's not detailed enough, then they'll look at it and they'll say, you need to add a little bit more detail to your, I've had that happen.
How many units
Have
are
you?
you gonna
Really?
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Oh, yeah. How many units are you gonna have?
And what are you doing? And you used to, like depending upon how long you've been here, years ago, you could say rehab a unit.
Yeah,
You know.
now they want to know exactly what you're doing.
And
Yes.
so now what does that mean? Which makes sense,
Uh-huh,
but that's, years ago, that's what we were told.
right.
You're rehabbing a unit, okay. So now they want all the detail and it's like, okay, well, this is what we hope to get done.
Exactly, exactly. This is a,
Like 10 hot water tanks, to
Mhm.
replace 10 hot water tanks.
yeah,
They wanna know what addresses of those 10 hot water tanks.
oh, that's
Oh,
exhausting.
no,
We're-
yeah, no, 'cause you don't know where they're gonna
Sometimes you
go.
don't know that.
Right,
No.
I'm gonna have
Because
10,
tomorrow, hers might go out.
Yeah.
Next month, his might go out. You don't
Yeah.
know.
And so the units that you're rehabbing, you may end up having to buy 2 extra ones because you got those 10, but you're
Absolutely.
shuffling them around.
Yeah.
Well, as I
absolutely.
said earlier,
I'm so
when we
sorry
talk
you
about
have to do that.
units rehabbing, sometimes, okay, I'm hoping to rehab 5, but if people don't move out,
Right,
then I'm not going to rehab that because
right,
I'm not going in there and redoing it while they live there.
no,
We don't have enough empty where we can, you know,
you can move people
we
around.
we have started doing that a little bit, but not like in our family units, there's
Sure.
no way.
Yeah,
So you really don't know
exactly,
And then-
somebody,
And if you don't have enough maintenance staff to do your rehabs, where it gets really hard, is when you're trying to put a contract together, because they wanna know how many they're not gonna bid it individually.
That's what I'm doing.
And so you're telling them, well, in the next 12 months, we plan to rehab 8 units, but if they don't move out, we won't, and so it's
I
really
guess that's
hard.
just it.
Yeah.
That's
It's
what's
really
so
hard to do a contract.
so you're in the
really
middle
hard.
of that,
We have 72 in our towers, and at this point, over the last 4.5 years, we have rehabbed 50 of those, and 22 left. We're so close.
nice,
I fill out the paperwork to take the unit offline, I send it in, they approve it, I take it offline, we do the work, I re-rent.
Mm.
Okay?
So how does your contract work, though? I wanna know how you got that contract.
That's where I'm going.
Okay.
For the last 4.5 years, we have my maintenance guys go in and tear out. We have a guy that comes in, sets the cabinets, countertops, puts flooring in, and my maintenance guys go back in. We don't have a contract with them because I don't know when I'm going to have
Right,
something.
see, that's the
Exactly,
way
that's,
ours is.
it's almost impossible to get somebody to commit to a contract, because one, do they need extra hands, do they not, when do they need them? How do I hire people, because I don't know when you're gonna need me, it's a nightmare.
And for the last 4.5 years, I haven't had to have a contract.
Especially in
Until
smaller
last week.
places.
And you can't pay out a company that hasn't done the work yet. You can't enter into a contract, I need 5 of these done for this fiscal year. And then, you know, they want paid for these things. Hey, we have a contract that you're gonna pay us for 5. And it's like, well, eventually, there might maybe be 5.
Yeah, and that's,
Yeah.
My POC in
Yeah.
Kansas
And
City
that's
says I
where
have
I'm
to have
at.
a contract or she's not going to approve these offline. I have to have a contract before I can
Where
move
I'm
forward.
at.
I have 22 units left, come on.
Yeah, after you've
Why
done
now
that
after-
many.
Why now, after 4.5 years?
they changed the process on our side, but that's just really hard, and I don't have time. I shouldn't say it that way. You know what the work is that needs to be done.
right?
You have your contract, great, but I don't need to see a contract for flooring, laminate, $12.50. You know, line item by line item,
I'm in a town of 4,000 people on the edge of nowhere.
right,
Try to find a contractor
Getting a
sometimes.
That's
contractor
right.
that will sign a contract, because the guy that's been doing it is a one-man company.
Mhm.
When he's not working for me, he's
Right.
He didn't wanna sign a contract with me because I can't promise him the work,
Mhm.
and he has other jobs.
Mhm.
And there's nobody else to do it, and I cannot get through this person in Kansas City's head.
You know, the way I
They
look
don't
at it,
understand that, how
Right.
it's
No,
small
and they
agencies.
really don't.
And I don't know what
That's
I'm gonna
true.
do, because we have 3 right now I'm waiting to get offline. And my contractor's not available right now because he just had back surgery, so I can't get him to sign anything anyway, and I can't find anybody else, and
And in HUD's defense,
I'm at a standstill.
they don't see our locations.
Right.
They
They
don't
don't
know what
care.
we're doing. And it's not so much, I mean, I don't know about now, but it's not so much that they don't care, but they don't have eyes on it. They don't know. And
They
so
don't know
they
what it's
just,
like in a small community. and
right, and they
places like
just
that.
know that they have to have that contract, and it's like, okay, but I really can't get a contract.
I
So
did
you're,
write one and send it in, and it got shuffled back to me with 6 more things I need to change on it.
good Lord.
yeah,
I don't have
see, that's
anything else
about
to do.
micromanage.
I mean, come on.
Oh,
And okay, so tell me, what is your designation? Are you substandard or are you troubled?
No.
No, see, you're in good standings and they're I can't even imagine if you were troubled.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going working longer than,
Is your person new? Isn't your? Oh, yeah.
I've been doing this longer than she's been
I've heard
alive.
good
Right.
things.
Yeah, and then there comes that issue.
I've heard good things
Exactly.
about her.
You know, technically, I guess the way she's doing it is right.
Is right, yeah.
In real world, that's so much. And so what if I looked back and said, okay, hey, in their 5-year plan, they're telling me they're planning on doing flooring and maybe kitchen work or new bathtubs or whatever. That's fine. Sign, done.
And so like for me, when we do the plan,
But thank
I
you.
kinda know how many people we had moved out before.
Mhm.
We hope, you know, we
You
kinda
kinda
judge
get an
on
idea.
that.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine having to try to tell you guys what units I'm gonna rehab because I don't know who's moving out.
Exactly.
Or who dies.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
Well,
there's that.
what you do there, and I've been thinking about it, because Sheila and I were talking about it, so like in her situation, she knows which units need to be done, because she's
She
done the other
does.
50.
Right.
She does.
And you know which ones need stuff for
We
the
know
most part.
what needs it, yeah.
So what she needs to do with her gentleman is write a contract, because she already knows, she's done her procurement, she knows he's gonna do it. So this is a contract that's going to cost this much, it's 22 units and up to 22 units in 4 years. And then you just go along, that's your contract, and at the end of 4 years, if you've only done 12, then you just rewrite a contract for 10 more in the
And
next
Stephen-
5 years.
Stephen
Yeah.
Burt said you can put an extension in.
Yeah,
True.
So at the end of, if we're not complete at the end of 4 years, but.
and you just say
It's just a
up
lot of
to, so
extra
that way,
work
Yeah.
when.
it's
you're a
guaranteeing
one-man
them
show.
the work. If
Yeah.
they're like, I don't wanna do that if I don't know, well, I'm guaranteeing, I did the procurement, you're going to get this job.
Right.
I just don't know.
We
The
just
guy
don't
that does
know.
our flooring,
You know-
he did a contract and we said as is.
Yeah.
And I sent that to HUD and they said that was fine, and he will do it as is. It
Who's
may
that?
take, it may take, I'm not telling you, because you might try to steal my guy.
Not a good guy.
You're too close to
I'm
me.
not telling you my guy is either.
Can you just send me a copy of your contract?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I did say to Stacy, can you just send me a sample contract that I can tweak to make work for what I'm doing? Well, no, here's the link.
No, Stephen Burke told me this was all right, so I'm believing it, so.
There you go.
If
You know,
Stephen
and
Burt said it's okay,
The
then.
thing about it is your PMS does something different than yours, so I'm like, okay, Johnny. And yours, you know?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they put some guidelines together that we should follow, like getting a contract and getting it signed in blood and all of that. But then realistically, you guys are the ones putting it together. You know more than I do. I've been to probably 35 housing authorities, so I know what Johnny needs. You know what I mean? I've been to Tony's. And so I can see you may need something different than Tony, different than you, so on and so forth.
Office training. I mean, just to, like.
But you're right.
We're not that bad.
It's,
Yes, we are.
But, you know, if I had been to your housing authority, say,
You would know.
and I would know, I'm like, oh, okay, these 22, okay, she has them blocked off right here. That's great. I see that they need flooring or they need the cabinets ripped out, whatever. And I know that's not realistic necessarily for everyone, especially in this day and time. I don't know if they're going to let us out ever again. But if we still get to work there. But to go back to your point, when you were talking about 2 years and these contracts and that crap, the reason you have to do that is because we got a new app, I don't know what else to call it, app, that we have to put everything in. And so what we have to do is duplicative in 10,000 different ways, but it makes it harder on you. Because before we didn't ask for all of that, we just wrote a letter and
Well,
said,
that's what I was really surprised because I've had, this is my 5th person in 5 years. Nobody else, I've just submitted the form and they've signed off on it and I've gone about my business, got my work done and got my units reoccupied.
yeah,
And all of a sudden I have all this extra stuff and part of my issue, I guess, with this gal is there's no explanation. I had a question in EPIC the other day and the email back to me was, well, I see you've submitted to EPIC before, what's the problem this year?
oh my,
Yeah.
that's
She's mine too.
not very nice.
I will not say what went through my head when I read that, and her phone number's not on her.
It would've
email,
come out
so
of my
you can't
mouth.
call her. You can't call them, I finally just pulled my hair out, figured it out on my own and submitted it to her and
Oh, that's too bad, I'm sorry.
I've had some really good ones in Kansas City, I will, but
Yeah,
it's
But
just-
really, the reason we're having to do things a little different is because you guys have gotten a new directive.
100%. Everything that,
Is that kind of
everything,
like the thing that you and Greg did when y'all were at my office?
what we do.
When y'all both come, remember y'all both
Oh.
come down? No, that was something even different.
That's something even different.
But it
But
was
had
new
she-
too.
Had this gal
Yeah.
explained that to me, it would have made more sense to me, and I wouldn't be bitter,
Sure,
Right.
sure.
or as bitter.
As bitter.
So what is the contract with, when these are workforce
And that's
labor
probably- yeah,
things?
that's probably-
When
she
is
doesn't
the
know.
obligations for workforce labor? What's the contract for workforce labor?
You
That-
mean forced account labor?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I was just making sure.
Yeah,
Force accounting, yeah.
I have to go look it up because I get it backwards every time. But it has to do when you're using a contractor versus when you're using your own maintenance
Forced
staff.
account labor is our own staff.
I'm
Thank you.
using my
I knew it,
staff.
I can't ever remember which one.
So when do I obligate? Just,
That, the forced account has really, it has nothing to do with this.
Then how does she
If you're-
obligate because she doesn't have a contract?
But-
It depends on what you're doing. Yes.
Okay,
Okay?
yeah,
If you're going to.
Your contract's gonna be the receipt for the materials. You get a bid for
Yeah.
the materials for it, the purchase order, and
Yes.
then
That's your
Yeah.
obligation.
that's your contract.
yeah, thank you.
that's the obligation and the expenditure.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
And if
just
you're
do
putting-
one, the next day you do the other, and then you're done.
I mean,
Yeah.
'cause
Yeah.
that's just
Okay.
what.
And if you're using your own staff, you don't have to,
Yeah,
you don't have
that's
to do
what
anything else with that.
90% of our stuff
Exactly.
is right now.
Exactly,
So.
yeah,
again,
thank you guys.
I can't, I don't know, that kind of goes with the offline stuff.
Yeah.
It's forced
Well-
account labor. So I don't have a contract.
There's a,
But there's another-
there's a checkbox at the bottom, one of the, you have to click one or the other.
One says forced
One
account.
says force account and one says contract
So you don't have to.
on the
Well,
offline, on the form that you submit for your unit request.
Y'all have a form?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have a form?
I don't know.
Oh, we got a form. We got a whole form and the way you have to do it.
Dang,
For offline.
Oh,
Is it?
You
Oh.
just fill it out and send it in, and normally they say, okay, take it offline and pick and go on about your day, but
So y'all fill out a form and they do all of the changing it in the computer. See?
Yeah, 'cause
That's why I was like, I don't know what y'all are talking about.
and
We
honestly,
send the form in, they do what they do.
They do.
And then they send us a letter and
Yes.
say it's approved.
It's
Yes.
approved, yeah.
Yeah.
something.
I'll get off my soapbox after this. That letter that you guys get, it's system generated, but it doesn't stay in the system. We have to print it and load it back into the system.
Because you don't have nothing else to do either.
I'm like, I don't even know where that letter is. Just email it, because once you close it down, you don't see it again. If you don't print it or put it in some type of a PDF, whatever, you can't go in this app that we have and find it again. Yeah,
Wow.
right.
So is
Every-
that why sometimes it doesn't show up in PIC when it has, oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
well, I guess I need
Yeah.
to take back what I said about
Not necessarily. Okay, well, I don't even know where we're at. Okay, so this one is gonna look crazy, but I promise, let me explain it. This morning, I was like, what is happening? Why are there so many numbers and stuff? I don't remember what I was talking about. It was so smart yesterday. This morning, it made no sense. Zero sense.
It's me, Chuck.
Okay. You'll see over here on our 25 to 29, it's locked. That means it's been submitted. Once we approve it, it turns to approved. I mean, that's not rocket science. And then you'll see over here where you can go in and edit. You can make revisions, whatever you need to do to these 5-year action plans. There are certain changes that will force you to do a revision, which is fine. And I wanted to show this to you because we're not scared if y'all make revisions. I had one that had 17 the other day. I'm like, who is watching this? But it wasn't mine, wasn't my people. It wasn't y'all's people. So we're not afraid of revisions. Please go in there. If you need to make changes, make changes. We're fine. We're fine with that.
Does every revision have to be approved by the field office then?
A 5-year plans do,
Okay.
not like annual statements or anything
Not
like
annual
that.
statements, so
Yeah.
you can go in and change stuff in your
Yep.
annual statement, that doesn't have
Yep.
to be approved, okay.
Yep.
What triggers for it to have to go back out for 45-day comments, and isn't there something?
Oh,
Yes,
Lord.
if it's
God, it's a huge change though.
It has to,
Yeah, it's
it's, because
yeah.
we have that letter that
A
says we,
work activity change or something?
God, that have to be a
authorities, what
huge.
is that? Oklahoma City, what is that? Is Oklahoma
It's
City
not
still
a
in
nu-
here?
It's not a number, it's not
What's
a
the
dollar
question?
amount, right?
Whenever,
There's something that triggers that it has to go back out for like 45-day comment and have a board revision and have a. it's basically a
significant
Amendment,
amendment, there we go. Sorry, it took me a minute.
yeah.
But that's what it is, but I don't know, like,
Right, what it is
what,
that triggers.
what triggers a significant amendment? So, like a percentage of it you change?
You guys each have your own significant amendment.
I think
Yeah.
your significant amendment letter that goes in your document
Mhm.
package spells that out.
It tells you on there
But I don't
if
know
you
what-
do so much, but I've never had, we usually don't. It's always.
But y'all have your own significant amendment.
Amendment letter was 20 years old, and I just changed the date.
Yeah.
This is what I
What I
have
do every
basically
year.
says unless I'm closing the housing authority down, it's not a significant.
Yeah.
amendment.
There you go.
That's how mine's
Basically.
worded.
Basically.
Yeah,
That's a good.
It's really vague.
that's how you go. Okay.
I like it. That sounds close enough.
Allegedly, we have our 5-year action plan done. We've submitted it. We're going to look at it and approve it. Awesome. Now we're going to do our documents. Woo.
Keep your file from last year, change dates and.
Same. I don't officially tell people that, but I'm like, you did it last year. Find it, print it.
Just check to make sure that the form hasn't changed.
That's right.
There you go.
Make sure.
There you go. Yep. Okay, so we're going to create a new document package. And this it's not like a carryover or anything. It's literally a new set of documents that you have to upload. So when we create the document package, number 1 is what it looks like. It's all blank. Number 2, we're doing a initial award which is what we're doing. For the award year 25, there's not an award ID because it hasn't been granted yet. And so on 3, those are all of the documents we're going to need. And on there, you'll see your significant amendment, your civil rights certification. Remember, you had to have that for your annual plan, but it's the same document, but
But you gotta have 2 of them.
yeah. Have that one, have ours. It's cool. The top one is your ACC, and that is the official letter that tells you how much money you're getting for that grant year.
And you're still thinking that's gonna show up in May?
Supposed to, because everything was approved March 15th. So, should be. So you see all of the documents that you have to upload. And so then, these are like hyperlinks with the little green thing, and you can click on it and upload your file. Or upload your file, and then it gives you a drop down. I want to file this under my ACC or my civil rights certification. You have the option as to where to put that document. Okay. So this one, this was submitted, but you'll see there's no ACC. That's sad because we have to decline or deny it, and you have to go back and fix it. This one, they have all of their documentation. Yay, it's accepted. I feel like the document package shouldn't be hard, but sometimes, and I think sometimes people struggle simply in the fact that, do I have to put this document in again? Or where do I find this document?
Right.
Or it's new, whatever it may be.
I think that's the most of it.
Yeah.
It's like, didn't I just do this? Why?
Exactly.
I already did that.
It just feels like when you do it
Yeah.
next year, it feels like you just did it.
Well,
Yeah.
but like the one we were talking about a while ago, you just did a civil rights over
Yeah.
on the other
Mhm.
system, now they're wanting it over here, and for me, I'm like, I just did that. Why are they asking for it again?
Right.
But,
And I haven't even clicked one of these buttons, but I feel like it can maybe be the same thing, but I don't think it is. I just think, because the civil rights in Rachel's plan, you have to have that little code number, that little ID number.
yeah, no,
This is just,
this is just the
Google.
one you go and pull down, I think.
Yeah.
It's not populated in here,
yeah.
or it wasn't last year when I did it, maybe I should say that.
Okay, it was accepted, so 2 down, 1 to go. Perfect. I say there's 1 to go. Let's try this. Okay, so we're going to do a new annual statement budget. So first of all, like I said before, you don't even have the option to initiate an annual statement until your documents and your 5-year plan are approved. Grayed out. You don't even have the option. You guys will have to bear with me because my screens for sure on the annual statement, I don't think look like yours. So bear with me. But you have the title of your statement, 2025 annual statement, sounds easy. Your year, your 5-year action plan, and then your dollar amount. And I believe that warning says you can't do this or you can't submit it until you have your documents and your 5-year plan. So all of this is what came from that 5-year plan. That's great. If you need to X out anything, if you said, oh, now that I'm doing my annual statement, which is for real what I'm going to do, I can't do this right now. So I need to delete it from this annual statement. You can do that. But we're down to the point that your 5-year action plan is your wish list. this is what you're actually going to do. Got to be pretty solid in what you're thinking when you do your annual statement. Not to say you can't revise it, please, don't get me wrong, but we need to be pretty close, especially when you talk about your BLIs. If you have money in 1480 and you think, I think I'm going to move it to 1406 and just put it in my operations, that you have to back out your 5-year action plan and you have to adjust those BLIs. Then it goes forward, then your annual statement gets updated. It's a whole thing. You can import work activities, anything that maybe didn't come over from that 5-year plan, you want to add it in. If it came from a different year, whatever you want. You can import activities if you need so. If it's different than your 5-year action plan and you need to import that or delete it, whatever it may be. Let me show you this. Okay, this is what locks looks like. I feel like this is from your side. Okay, because I went into somebody and went to what you see. Okay, this very first one is no 5-year action plan or no documents. You don't have anything. There are zeros across the board. Okay, this one is no annual statement. Awesome. We know how much we're authorized to get. We just don't have anything yet. It's just been authorized. And so now we have everything done. And you will see that it splits. You have your money that goes to operations, your money that goes to capital funds, capital activities. You see how it split. Forget the dollar amounts. This is not consecutive. Forget the dollar amounts. Because nobody wanted me messing with that on their side, giving you all money that isn't there, or that I shouldn't be giving. Once it spreads, this BLI 0100 is locked. That simply shows that this is the money that you're ready to get. Once it spreads, now you can actually get it.
And that's when your obligation date starts?
No, your obligation date started when the grant came out, when it was loaded into locks. We could be doing this on a 2023 grant just because it hasn't been done yet. We can be doing this on 24, 25, whatever it may be. And that's the reason I want to make sure I say, do these as soon as the money comes out. Stay up with your EPIC. It just makes it so much easier than trying to backtrack, because that's a mess. And let me say one thing. I wonder what my next screen says. Okay. Let me say one thing down here. You know how we were talking about obligation end dates? We've talked about it till we're blue in the face. On your operations, your 1406, that is not obligated until you draw it down. You may put on your little obligation and expenditure little box that you have to do when you report every month that you're 100% obligated because you got $20,000 in 1406, you're cool. No, you're not. You have to draw that down. Yep.
That's usually the first thing we do.
Right? I need that money.
Yeah.
As soon as this area.
Right.
I didn't realize that, because this was the first, 2 years ago, the first time we put anything in operations. So it got close to my obligation, and at the time I had, what's her name, Liza, and she called me and she said, Gina, you gotta draw it down or she will lose it. I'm like, oh, I
Yes.
didn't realize that, because I was just using it as I was going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The first thing you do when you get your money,
now I do.
strongly suggest, is taking your 1406.
So put all of everything you have in 1406. As soon as you get it, put it over.
Just pull it out and put it in your
Draw it down.
checking account.
No, no, do not do that. Because when you do that, because I got a finding last year,
That's
they changed the rule. And I
That's
did,
right.
anyway, you have to pull it down, so like I use mine for insurance payment. So I have to pull it down and then write the check for that money to the insurance company within 3 days and use the money. You have to, so like next year, we're gonna use it for some payroll. So every week, every 2 weeks, when I do payroll, I'll have my payroll up, I'll print that out, I'll pull that amount out, put it in my account and put it all together, showing that I used that money for payroll.
That's right.
So you
They
can't
did
do
that on
anything.
capital funds. I forgot they changed that
Yep,
back
they
on
changed it and
operations.
it's BS.
So then we may have, so if we pulled it down and done like that, we may have a fine on
Capital
this
for
year.
operations, you
Now let's-
have to
Oh,
pull
yeah.
it out as you.
I'm not,
Okay, okay.
we pull it out and it goes into your checking account and it is what it
And we
is.
just spend it.
Yeah.
I usually pull it out
When you,
when I'm gonna pay
when you're
something,
ready to use
but
it.
I make sure I understand that it has to be done before that obligation.
Now, on all the others,
That's right.
yes.
That's
On
right.
all the other line items, yes,
Yeah.
but operations,
Well,
I don't know that it is all used that quickly.
That's why most everyone just pulls it down. Because I understand where he's coming
Yeah.
from. And that has gone back and forth and back and forth. Is it 3 days? Is it not? It's operations. Once you pull it down,
Yeah, it's going.
it's just
into-
money in your
it's
checking
going into
account.
Everything.
Yeah. So we've gone back and forth.
But if that's the case, then I could
Yeah,
do insurance, do you know what I mean, next year,
Mhm.
instead of paying it quarterly
Sure.
like I do right now, I can just pay it all at once.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
gotcha. Or my pilot.
Yeah. I'll get started on pilot. Okay. This is new, I guess. The easiest way to say it is closeout in EPIC. I will apologize to you up front. I do not have access to close out your grants, so these screenshots are pulled from a training that must have been put together by someone who did not have their contacts in. It is so blurry, so please, I apologize up front. It is hard to see. Okay.
I love that.
Okay, so we go to our annual statements. It's locked, check marked as final, so we're done. We're done. We spent all of our money. We've done our reconciliation, whatever it may be. So now we want to initiate a closeout. This is not near as hard as you think it could be.
Okay,
Yeah. So we're going to initiate a closeout. And then it's a document package. So under your document package, the type is a closeout. The award date is whatever grant you're closing out. The award ID, I can't get to because I can't do this in real life. Choose your closeout report, and then this tells you like what you could use the different ones for, like an AMCC, ADCC, both combo, whatever. This is what everyone I've ever seen looks like, has both of them. Okay, and then the data for the closeout. The dollar amount you are approved for, the dollar amount you spent should equal. Again, your funds expended, so on and so forth. You get down to whether it's needed for an audit or not going to be in an audit. Your authorizing official, this y'all, I mean, you can't have Erlub go in and do this. You're authorized to close down this grant. So you say yes, and it's done.
okay,
And it comes to us. And we look at it, we're like, super, done. Or if it needs to go to an audit, we say, super, refer to the audit. And it goes and sits. You guys send us your audit at whatever point and upload it. We will upload it and close it out. So technically, you're done. You're done with your grant. Unless you have an audit, then don't forget about those
Will
papers.
that take that off of, like, I noticed I've got didn't know about this, but it seemed like trying to close out my old grants off my obligated expenditures.
Mhm.
It's been just a trial. And so, if I go in there and do that, will that take them off of that page?
Yes.
Are our old ones on there?
Yeah, my old ones are on.
That's what I'm saying, but are they in the data here?
Epic came on about 2019, and so
Anything earlier than that probably won't be on.
is, right, you have to do it the hard way and send the document to your field office.
My field office guy told me that HUD closes out anything 18 and prior, and we can close out 19.
I will tell you, they recently sent us a list of old grants, and said, as a whole, do you guys want us to close these out in bulk? We said, sounds great.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I just need to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah.
what,
I'm with you,
what I'm
Lynn.
saying,
No, let's do it.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
It's not hard to close them out.
Well, there's some from like
No.
2013.
Yeah, there are.
They'll be
Those, I
swept.
think you still have to send in a paper.
Yeah, I've got several on there that I haven't.
Done.
Took over.
Yeah, they should all be swept at some point. I assume that's what your portfolio manager meant.
I'll wait for her.
Yeah.
Doing my best, but I'll wait for her.
That's all right, that's all right. That's the end for me.
So
She
you're
has a
saying,
question.
Yeah,
so you're saying that we can do this closeout when the line over here says that we've spent everything?
yes,
Zero.
yeah. You have spent everything. There's a caveat to closeout. It has to be 2 years from your obligation end date, and the grant is completely spent. You can't close it out before ending the obligation. Does that make sense?